All right, everybody, back to work. Moderator number 2. Here we go. Danica Patrick joins us in the new Phoenix International Raceway Media Center. Home game for you today.
What's that?
Home game for you today, this weekend.
Oh, that's why I didn't know, because you didn't ask a question. Yes, I live in Phoenix area. I was able to sleep in my own bed last night, so that's a change. But I was just saying that I almost would rather fly somewhere, because I feel like it takes me out of my rhythm. When we fly somewhere, I'm like used to my bus and the routine, and then I'm home, and then I have to time for the drive and allow for traffic and stuff that I'm not used to. So and you know, I had a GoDaddy appearance down at Chase Field yesterday, and then I went home, and it was like a regular night home when I have a few days off, and we're like watching what's on the DVR and stuff. So it's just a little out of context when you sleep in your own bed and you do your own like home routine stuff, but it's not a bad thing. It's just different.
Your house for dinner tonight, right?
Probably not.
Tell Paul, we'll be there. Number 7, GoDaddy Chevrolet in the NASCAR Nationwide Series, by the way. I forgot to mention that. All right, questions for Danica? Raise your hands. State your name and affiliation. I see Tom, so let's go there first, right here in the front. Thank you.
Hi, Danica. Tom Jensen, Speed.com. Just wondered your thoughts about Chevrolet coming back to IndyCar. And Randy Bernard reiterated that he wants to give somebody $20 million for winning the 500 and the 600. Does this increase the possibility that somebody will actually try to do that?
Well, first and foremost, can you guys hear me okay? I don't feel like my mic is very loud. Is everybody good? Okay.
Everybody good?
Okay. It's great news for IndyCar. It is great news. IndyCar, I feel like, has really desperately needed some competition out there. You know, one of the things that I remember about Chevy when they were in the IndyCar series was that they had, you know, big qualifying engines, and they could be fast, but, you know, at times they were worse on fuel mileage. And, you know, I think about those kinds of things, and I think about how that would play into a race and how that creates overtaking and shakes things up. So, you know, they were definitely good for winning some poles out there, because they were fast. But as far as opportunities within NASCAR and IndyCar, I mean, I was just talking about this, and I really feel like it reminds me almost of like my GoDaddy relationship, and the fact that you know, they're my IndyCar sponsor, and they had been on the car for a few years with me, and having that relationship with Dale Jr., and then for me to come over here, and it was kind of made the relationship sort of easy and less confusion, more seamless, more options, and so you know, I think really it could only facilitate things, and but really I think it's just a real win for IndyCar to finally have some other manufacturers back in the series, and hopefully it'll be a snowball effect for IndyCar, and others will join in. But overall, it's a big plus.
Hands in the air so that I can see you. Lewis, right here in the front, then we'll go to Nate in the back.
Lewis Frank Reuters. Now that you've had a few more weeks, you know, in the Nationwide Series, are you finding some kind of rhythm there? Is it getting more comfortable for you?
For me, it is a little bit more familiar being in the car every week. Just dealing with less fitting issues and fine-tuning things more, and just having familiar feeling and building on it. But you know, then you end up, you know, you're going to 1.5 miles, and then you're at a 2 mile, and then you're at a short oval. So there's still transitions there, and I still have a lot to learn overall. And this one will be a real challenge. I think I've struggled a little bit on the short ovals. So hopefully we can make some strides this weekend with myself and with the car, so that we can bring it all together and have a good weekend. But yeah, I do believe that that consistency in the car is helping with building and with learning.
We'll go Nate, Bruce, and then David Newton. Nate?
Nate Ryan, USA Today. Danica, I think it was 5 years ago that you came to this race as a spectator, and that was right after the end of your rookie season in IndyCar. Do you remember that day? Was that your first NASCAR race, and did you know then, like walking around the garage, did you have a sense that someday you might actually be driving one?
Yeah, I'm trying to think here. It's 5 years. Was it? Maybe I was here at the end of that year. Maybe the year after. I can't remember. I remember I was here just before I got married, and I'll be married for 5 years. And yeah, that's right. Thanks for knowing my history better than me. I just remember. I think it was then that I was just spent the day with Mark Martin yesterday with GoDaddy, and I remember I spoke to him for like an hour on race day before he went out there, and just his how kind he was to spend that much time with me, and just seeing NASCAR, and that might have been my first NASCAR race. I don't know for sure what would have been. Yeah, and I just remember over the years coming here, and anytime I came, and if I was pushing any buttons or standing next to a car or about to put a leg in, it was always always rumors started to go around. So it's different to come here and be running and racing, because every other year it's just been speculation really for me to go to a NASCAR track.
Bruce Martin, SI.com. Next week's the end of the road, and after the pace you've had this year, you're going to wonder what to do with yourself?
Bruce, I think I'm going to be just fine with what I'm going to do with myself when I'm done. The end of the year for me is going to be I'm going to get a few days off after the last race, and then I have some GoDaddy Super Bowl commercials to shoot for the Super Bowl in February, and then, or is it January? I don't know. It's always like the first week of February, and then may go on vacation. So it's been a long year, yes, and it's been a transition for me for sure. I've been doing things like going to SEMA and certain events like that, and Halloween comes, and those are all sort of markers in my mind of the holidays and time off. And so it's not that I'm it's not that I'm frustrated still running and I feel overwhelmed. I just feel like I'm reminded how it's so different this year. But last year, after the season ended in IndyCar, while I didn't get in an IndyCar again, I did get in a stock car a bunch of times, and there was a lot of commercials shot, and there was a lot of media for coming to NASCAR. So I only really got between Christmas and New Year's off. So hopefully, I'm going to get some more time than that this year.
We'll go David Newton, the young man in the back with PIR Pit Notes, and then Claire. Go ahead, David.
I'm not the young man. Hey. Hey, Danica. Wanted to ask you, with Pastrana coming into the sport next year, your thoughts on that, and you seen the reception you had, and I don't know if you noticed if it waned or gone greater because of not having the great success that you would like to have had in your first year. Is it important for him for this sport to pick up fans or younger fans to come in and do well immediately, or is there that kind of pressure there?
Because I haven't done as well, or is that what you're saying?
Yeah, I mean, to keep it going, to keep the momentum going for you and for a guy like him and for the sport, is it important to come in and start doing well?
I think that any driver with talent can do well given enough time. Everybody learns at a different rate, and it's especially for a guy like that. I think of Ricky Carmichael. Coming from running on two wheels a lot, that's a big change. He does have that rally experience, which will be good for car control. But I don't think that you have to do well to. I guess I'm kind of proof of that. I haven't won races this year and run in the top 5 every weekend, but the fans have been incredibly supportive and everybody's been great. So I think really you just need to that comes down to just having having a good sponsor and having the ability to build up. It's going to be a big transition for him, but he's obviously a talented driver, and if he sticks with it and given enough time, he can be successful. I'll be successful given enough time and enough experience. And I think that people decide to cheer for a driver based on their personality, whether they can relate to them, what they like, what they see, they like what they hear, the story around it. So, I'm sure he'll be covered really well because it's an interesting story, as I'm lucky that I've been covered really well. So I'm a story that there's a lot of information and it's ongoing, and so I'm sure he'll have a lot of fans.
In the back.
Rudy Rivas, Phoenix International Raceway. What do you think will be the most difficult aspect of racing here at Phoenix, and what's the key of going fast here?
Well, I don't know if I'm the right person to ask the key to go fast here. I've done about 40 laps so far in a stock car. So, what's going to be the challenge here for me? It's just that it's a short oval, and I haven't done that well on short ovals this year. So, there's an interesting balance on the short ovals. Just like any other track, but it seems like even more about, you got to get the car to turn in the corner, and stock cars, they don't like to turn as well as, let's say, an Indy car, because they're bigger cars, they're heavier. It's just more load as you're trying to get the car to rotate on a tighter radius. So, so you have to be free enough to get the car to turn, but, you're doing things like braking really hard, and that gets the rear to be active too. So, because you're getting a lot of weight transfer to the front. So, you really have to be comfortable with the limits of the car, and that's something that I'm still getting used to.
Claire
B. Lang, Sirius NASCAR Radio. I happened to be flipping through the channels the other night and saw you on Jimmy Kimmel Live. I thought you held your own. Can you talk about being on there with Jimmy Kimmel?
Thanks. I thought it was like maybe the 5th or 6th time that I had been on the show, but it was, I think they said, the 7th time that I've been on Kimmel, and I love going on his show. He is he's always so funny. I feel like I've always gotten along with him very well. He's a funny guy. So, like him or any of those guys, I like to put it on them. So, of course, when he asked me about the Fontana accident, I'm like, what would Jimmy do? So I just like asking them the questions because they're the funny one, not me. So I had a good time, and for me, it's fun to do that stuff. I like getting all made up and girly. It's another side of my personality people don't really get to see very much, as I'm, my hair dried from the air today, and I have, no makeup on. So, this is how you guys see me, but you don't see me all done up like that. So I like to show that side of me, and, I get along with Jimmy really well, and we just have good banter back and forth on camera. So it's always enjoyable. And it was nice to promote a good cause for COPD when I was on the show. So it was a good night.
Crash, you have a question? Where are you? Hand in the air? Nope. All righty. Danica, thank you.